Imagine a gray English morning, near the end of the 19th century. A small room, in the industrial city of Leicester. A young man, with ink on his fingers, and second-hand books on his table. He is not rich, he is not famous, he is not trained in any great university, but he is reading Spinoza, Locke, Hume, Berkeley, and later Plato. He is teaching himself to think. This young man will grow into one of the clearest and most persistent voices of atheism and free thought in Britain. His name is Chapman Cohen. Title: Chapman Cohen, A Clear Mind Against Sacred Authority. Section 1. Birth and Background. Chapman Cohen was born on the 1st of September 1868. In Leicester, England. He was the elder son of Enoch Cohen, a Jewish confectioner, and his wife Deborah Barnett. He attended a local elementary school, but beyond that, he was largely self-educated. From an early age, he was a voracious reader. By the time he was 18, he had already read Spinoza, Locke, Hume, Berkeley, and Plato. He loved books. He collected them all his life. Although he was born into a Jewish family, his upbringing was remarkably free of religion. Later he wrote that he could not remember a time when he had any religion to give up. He was withdrawn from religious instruction classes at school. His attitude to religion, in his youth, was what he later called easygoing contempt, not hatred, not fear, but a calm refusal to take it seriously. Section 2. Moved to London and the turning point. In 1889, at the age of 21, Cohen moved from Leicester to London. London was a city of crowds, factories, poverty, and also of public debate. Parks and street corners were open-air platforms for speakers of every kind. That same year, Cohen experienced the moment that would pull him onto the secularist platform. He later described it himself. He was walking in Victoria Park, a place used for open-air meetings. A Christian lecturer was addressing a crowd. An older man, with a speech impediment, tried to oppose the speaker. Instead of answering the argument, the lecturer mocked the old man's speech, and the crowd laughed. When the lecturer finished, he asked for more opposition. Cohen accepted the invitation. He spoke against the lecturer. A few weeks later, he was invited back to speak again. Soon afterwards, he was invited to speak for the local branch of the National Secular Society. After a year of lecturing, he formally joined the society. This accidental introduction to the platform became the starting point of his life's public work. Section 3. The National Secular Society and the Freethinker. The National Secular Society was the main organization in Britain, campaigning for secularism and freedom of thought. Its weekly paper was called The Freethinker. Cohen quickly became one of the society's most active lecturers. At his peak, he delivered more than 200 lectures a year. In 1895, he was elected a vice president of the National Secular Society. In 1897, he began contributing weekly articles to G.W. Foote's paper, The Freethinker. Before that, he had already written accounts of his lecture tours. In 1898, he became assistant editor of The Freethinker. He also briefly edited The Truthseeker, a free thought paper owned by J.W. Gott. When G.W. Foote died in 1915, it was almost inevitable that Cohen would succeed him. Cohen became editor of The Freethinker and president of the National Secular Society. He would hold these positions for decades. Officially, he was editor for 36 years. Unofficially, he had been doing much of the work. Even earlier, under Cohen, The Freethinker changed its style. There was less simple Bible bashing and more careful argument. Satire remained, but it was joined by analysis. Cohen wrote in clear, plain English. He had a special talent for explaining complicated philosophical ideas and their implications for religion and everyday life. To ordinary readers, he was not a university professor, but he did the work of a public educator. Section 4. The nature of his atheism. Cohen was an atheist, a freethinker, and a secularist, but his route to atheism was different from some of his predecessors. He did not build his work mainly on angry attacks on the absurdities of the Bible. His objections to religion were analytical, sociological, and philosophical. He asked, how do religious beliefs arise? In history, what social functions do they serve? What happens to human freedom when beliefs are protected from criticism? He examined the traditional arguments for God, the argument from design, the argument from first cause, the moral argument. He showed how these arguments either failed logically or simply moved the problem one step back. If everything needs a cause, why does God not need a cause? If the world is designed, why is it full of waste, suffering, and cruelty? If morality comes from God, why do sacred texts contain cruelty, slavery, and injustice? For Cohen, the idea of God was not necessary to explain the universe. It was a human construction, built over centuries, and protected by social pressure and fear. Section 5. Dogma as the enemy. At the center of Cohen's thought stood one main enemy, dogma. Dogma is a belief that demands acceptance without question. Dogma says, do not ask, do not doubt, just obey. Cohen saw dogma as the enemy of progress. Dogma demands obedience. Dogma punishes curiosity. Dogma silences questions. Dogma freezes the mind. He argued that dogma is not really about truth. It is about authority, a belief that cannot face questions. He thought, does not deserve respect. He invited people to examine the beliefs they had inherited, to ask, do I believe this because it is true, or because I was trained to repeat it? He wanted people to break the chain of untested belief and to rebuild their view of the world on reason and evidence. Section 6. Science and the natural world. Cohen lived in a period when science was reshaping the picture of the universe. Darwin's theory of evolution had challenged traditional creation stories. New discoveries in astronomy were expanding the scale of space and time. Historical criticism was examining religious texts with scholarly tools. Cohen welcomed these developments. He was deeply interested in modern science and its implications for religious belief. He argued that explanations of the world should be natural, not supernatural. Miracles, for him, were stories, not observations. Spirits and demons were inventions, not discoveries. Visions and revelations were events in the mind, not events in the external world. He did not claim that science had all the answers, but he insisted that real knowledge must be open to test and to correction. For him, science was not a new dogma. It was a method, a way of checking whether our ideas match reality. Section 7. Psychology and society of belief. Cohen also asked a deeper question. If the arguments for religion are weak, why does religion remain so powerful? His answer looked at psychology and at social forces. Religion offers comfort. It offers a sense of order. It offers community. It can give people a story in which their lives seem meaningful, but it can also demand that people stop asking questions. It can teach them to distrust their own judgment. It can make them feel guilty for doubting. Cohen saw blind belief as a mental habit. It gives comfort, but it takes away clarity. It gives certainty, but it kills inquiry. It gives emotional safety, but it removes intellectual freedom. He argued that when people surrender their judgment to priests or to sacred books, they become easier to control. He did not deny that religion can give meaning, but he believed that this meaning comes at a high price. The price is mental independence. Section 8. Morality without God. One of Cohen's most important themes was morality without God. He rejected the claim that without religion, everything is permitted. He argued that morality grows from human needs and human relationships. Human beings know pain, they know joy. From this simple fact, we can understand why kindness matters and cruelty is wrong. We do not need a divine command to see that unnecessary suffering is bad. We do not need a holy book to see that honesty is better than lies, and fairness is better than injustice. For Cohen, a moral person is not someone who simply obeys a command. A moral person is someone who takes responsibility for their actions. He rejected the excuse, "God told me to do this." He wanted people to own their choices and to judge them by their real effects on living beings. Section 9. Politics and Secularism. Cohen was not interested only in private belief. He was deeply concerned with the public power of religion. He saw how churches influenced laws. He saw how religious bodies tried to control education. He saw how blasphemy laws were used to silence criticism. He argued for a secular state, a state that does not favor any religion, a state where laws are based on human welfare, not on sacred texts. He defended freedom of speech, including the right to criticize religion. He defended the right to publish and to read unpopular opinions. He believed that without this freedom, real progress is impossible. He helped put the finances of the National Secular Society on a sound footing. He encouraged contributions and secured legacies between the two world wars. He played a vital role in keeping the secular movement alive and organized. Section 10. Books and writing style. Cohen was a prolific writer. He wrote numerous pamphlets and more than 20 books. Among his works were titles such as A Grammar of Freethought, Theism or Atheism, and a later work, almost an autobiography. He also produced a series called Pamphlets for the People. These pamphlets have been praised as some of the clearest statements of the unbeliever's position. His style was his great strength. He did not invent a completely new philosophical system. Instead, he took existing debates about God, soul, morality, and science, and expressed them in language that non-specialists could understand. He used logic. He used examples. He used history. He avoided vague mysticism. He did not ask his readers to admire him. He asked them to think with him. He could be sharp and sometimes caustic towards religious institutions, but his main tool was argument, not insult. Section 11. Later years and resignation. As the years passed, Cohen remained at the center of British secularism. He continued to lecture and to write. He guided the freethinker through wars, economic crises, and cultural change. By the mid-20th century, however, the world was changing. New terms, like humanism, were coming into use. Cohen found it difficult to adapt to some of these changes. By 1945, his powers were beginning to fade. His writings sometimes became repetitive. In 1949, after a stormy annual conference of the National Secular Society, he reluctantly resigned as president. 2 years later, he resigned as editor of the Freethinker. He was then in his 80s. He had been the central editorial voice of the paper for well over 3 decades. Section 12. Death and historical place. On the 4th of February 1954, Chapman Cohen died in Brentwood, Essex, England. He was 85 years old. The Times published a short obituary. It described him as the author of many books, setting forth the free thought philosophy of life. It praised him as a forthright, witty, and courteous debater and lecturer. After his death, his name slowly faded from popular memory, but in the history of British free thought and secularism, he remains a central figure. He was a tireless champion of free thought, a prolific writer and lecturer for the secularist cause, an influential promoter of humanist values, an eloquent challenger of superstition in all its forms. Section 13. Why he still matters. Why should a modern viewer care about Chapman Cohen? Because the questions he faced have not disappeared. We still live in societies where religious institutions seek influence over law, education, and public morals. We still hear claims that without God, there can be no morality. We still see attempts to protect beliefs from criticism by calling criticism offense. Cohen's life and work offer a different model. He showed that you can reject religion without rejecting ethics, that you can criticize sacred ideas without hating the people who hold them, that you can build meaning on human experience, rather than on divine command. He showed that clear, calm, persistent argument can stand against fear and tradition. Section 14. Closing reflection for the viewer. Now bring the focus back to yourself. Maybe you grew up in a world where questioning religion was dangerous. Maybe you were told that doubt is a sin. Maybe you feel a quiet tension between what you were taught and what you see. Chapman Cohen cannot live your life for you, but his example offers a path. You can ask for evidence. You can examine who benefits from a belief. You can look at who is harmed by a belief. You can build morality from empathy and responsibility. You can respect people without treating their beliefs as untouchable. You can accept that doubt is not a disease. It is a sign that your mind is awake. Cohen spent his life defending that awake mind. For him, the greatest freedom was the freedom to think. The moment you choose reason over fear, you begin to guide yourself. You become your own strength, and you start to build a life on clarity, on honesty, and on courage.